filled up with red. 49er fans are going to be there watching the 49ers and Brock Purdy dominate against the Los Angeles Lambs. You'll hear about that right after this.
Let's go get him. Let's go get him today, man. Let's go. Hey, dominate on 3. 1, 2, 3, dominate.
Welcome back to another episode of Clutch Gene Sports. I'm here with my man, Josh Harper. How's it going, bro?
What up, Marco? What's going on? All is good. Football all day.
Absolutely. Football all week, actually.
All
Thursday,
weekend.
you got, if you think about it, Thursdays, you got Thursday night football. Fridays, you got the high schoolers playing, which I'm too old to go watch that. But I know I have a cousin that I have a couple cousins that are playing, so I'll go check them out every once in a while.
Yeah.
Saturday, you got the college football. Sunday, you got NFL, and then Monday, you got Monday night. That's 5 days in a row of football. You can't beat that.
Perfect. And my dude goes to one of the powerhouses in Vegas, so he goes to Liberty High School. So I check out some of the high school games, just to check my nephew out. So
yeah, if for me, I feel like at least for me, if I don't got family playing, I ain't watching high school.
Same. Same.
Unless it's like, for example, the only high school game that I'm like, oh, I should probably go check out is, I don't know if you're familiar with St. Mary's because you went to St. Mary's. St. Mary's comes out and plays Central Catholic every year for the they call it a certain bowl. So
I forget.
Something religious bowl, I don't know, but two like religious schools, they come out and they battle each other. So sometimes I'm like, should I go? Because they're both very, very good teams. That's pretty much like, in my opinion, you're looking at JC to lower division college football. Like, that's how talented those guys are now.
Yeah.
So sometimes when they come out, I kind of think about it, but high school football ain't for me. And like, it's
unless it's like it's a top 10, top 100 player about to go to SC or Oregon that you want to check out. I can see that, but or family, like you said. But other than that, I definitely wouldn't really go to a random high school game. Yeah.
So 49ers had to dominate the Pittsburgh Steelers, dominating fashion. Before we even get into week 2, what was your first reaction watching that game? What went through your mind during that game? Like, because I was pretty shocked. Like, I was like, whoa, that's a very good Steelers team that we just whooped on.
Yeah, no, so I was shocked. I was on a show with Croc and before the game, and I was just telling them, like, this Pittsburgh team, they match up well with the Niners. They have talent all over the field. They have receivers. They have an improved Kenny Pickett, which we saw him improved in preseason. Not so much in that game. And you have TJ Watt on the edge. You have Highsmith on the other side. And then you have some vets on the back end in the defensive backfield with like Fitzpatrick, Patrick Peterson. I thought the game would be closer. I thought the Niners would still edge them out. In week 1, we didn't really start particularly well, over the past few years. But they shocked me. They shocked me from start to finish. It was we dominated the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I don't know if it was just because the Niners are that good this year, which they're good, or is it Pittsburgh just not what we expected them to be? I'm going to go with the latter and say the Niners are just that good.
Yeah, honestly, I think the Niners are that good. I was actually kind of shocked because I thought the Pittsburgh Steelers defense had a pretty solid defensive line. And I thought that could have been a big factor in the game. Like, if they could stop the run, they could have changed the outcome in terms of putting the ball in Brock Purdy's hands more. But that was probably the first half of that game was probably the best performance I've ever seen Brock Purdy play, like, by far. There was no, like, he knew where he wanted to go with the ball. It was kind of, to me, it was kind of like the varsity kid playing against the JV and freshmen. Like, that's kind of what it looked like. He knew where he was going with the ball, smiling in the pocket, letting it rip. Like, eye manipulation. I'm looking this way. Why'd you go that way? You're like, I got you. Boom, over the middle to Deebo Samuel, to Brandon Ayuk. Like, it was a very good performance by Brock Purdy, and that's why later we'll talk about Brock Purdy in terms of where he's ranking now into the NFL. To me, I thought the best part of it was watching the linebacking core just fly around, smacking
Mhm.
people. Like that's what set the tone. And I
Mhm.
know I saw you tweet out Fred Warner set the tone for a third play of the game, second play of the game maybe. Come out, lit up Najee Harris, big back, lit him up. That set the tone. After that, I was like, wow, like that was very impressive. For grades, throwback. I know you like. I know you like when I grade players and stuff like that. When I give players grades, if honestly, if I was to give Brock Purdy a grade, um, it would be around a B plus. And the reason why I say B plus is he had a fumble. I can't give you an A if you turn over the ball. That's just me. I value the ball, so I can't give you that A plus that he had. He fumbled twice. Could have cost 2 turnovers. Luckily, he recovered one, and then he did put the ball. I'm not going to discredit. Did not like I told Rohan. Rohan asked me the same thing. I'm not going to discredit him for the dropped interception by Patrick Peterson. That doesn't go on my grade. But he still put the ball in harm's way. So when I'm looking at those plays, outside of those 3 plays, I don't think he had a bad rep outside of some of the ball placement, maybe a little bit behind Debo and stuff like that. But it's week one, you're gonna those behind passes will get out of there. So I say B plus range. I don't know what would you give him, Josh, if you had to grade him?
Yeah, so like you said, I think I don't know what more he could have did in that first half to have played better. Um, so I'm gonna break it up. I'm gonna give him an A in the first half because I just love the way he was poised. He was going to the right spots. The offense was flowing. He was a point guard out there. He was like Jason Kidd. He was just distributing the ball, getting Brandon Ayuk involved, which I love to see. So I'll give him an A in the first half. The second half, he did have those. I don't remember what half he had those fumbles in, but he did have some fumbles and he did throw a pick, not a pick, but he threw it in harm's way, which happens throughout the course of a game, right? So total, I'll give him a B plus. I agree with your grade. I'll give him a B plus. He did have a fumble, which it's not all on him. McKivitz has to, he has to block. We know it's T.J. Watt, but you're starting for a reason, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll give him a B plus. Air pass that was almost intercepted, and then 2 fumbles. But he played great, man. He
Yeah,
played
he
great.
played great.
Yeah, he
That's
played great.
and to be honest, like we could nitpick him like George Kittle, you got to run a better route. Like George Kittle, you shouldn't be rounding your a 7 year veteran. You should not be rounding your routes,
Mhm.
selling out what you're doing. Literally the entire route. When you go back to watch the all 22, you know exactly what route George Kittle's running. He's standing the entire time, never sells anything, never steps on Patrick Peterson's toes.
Yeah.
No manipulation, no head movement, no nothing. He's running head turned inside. Like as soon as you see a head turned inside, you
Mhm.
know ball's coming. He's breaking. Like, come on, sell something. Give Brock something to like he can't move Patrick Peterson for you. Like I don't. So to me, we could get nitpicky and we be like, hey, that's actually Kittle's fault. No head movement. No, he didn't sell anything at the top of his break. So we could get nitpicky. But week two's here. You talked Colton McKivitz. Let's go straight into the
Mhm.
offensive line. How do you think this offensive line holds up against Aaron Donald and that I don't know who else is on that defensive line, but the Los Angeles Rams defensive line.
So I think they'll fare a little bit better, right? They'll spend a little bit more attention on Aaron Donald, which who wouldn't. And I don't think McKivitz is going against a TJ Watt. Now I'm not who the Rams have over there. I think that McKivitz would struggle with a speed rusher. So if they have a speed rusher over there, I think they can give McKivitz, but as far as like as a whole, as a group, I think they'll fare well. They'll find ways to double team Aaron Donald, to run away from him, misdirection. And Shanahan is good with stuff like that, so they'll fare well. They'll fare well, and I don't. Donald doesn't really destroy the Niners. Um, he doesn't really destroy them. I mean, he has good games here and there, but he doesn't really destroy the Niners. So, and I don't think their D line is as good as it was in the past. They're missing a lot more game changers on that line. So I think they'll do a lot better. Was encouraged with Brindle. Somewhat he had an up and down game, but it was really just Colton McKivitz who was really just getting blown by. So I think they'll do better. Hopefully that was just a first game for Colton McKivitz, first time coming into the season starting. So hopefully, he'll do better. This Sunday.
Yeah, Cole McKivitz might have the first game jitters, his first legit start,
Mhm.
where he's the true starter and not spot filling for anyone. So it could be that. I thought Colton McKivitz was pretty bad in the run game as well after watching the All-22. Like, there's some plays where I'm like, you got lucky there was a hold on Spencer Burford, or that play would have been blown up because of you. I thought Spencer Burford struggled too, and I'm like, hey, you played really good last year. I think he'll come back to himself. Something that was interesting is my guy Rohan. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but all you guys,
Yep.
I have a show with him. He's a very analytical guy, so he looked up statistics on where Aaron Donald has been lining up this season and the past couple of seasons. He's going to be lined up on Brunskill a lot this week. I guess last week against the Seattle Seahawks, he lined up on the outside over the tackles more than he did inside. And I was like, what the heck? Oh, that's interesting. But my thought process was, oh, that's just them. They don't have any legit edge rushers. Let's put the best defensive players we have on the field, and let's put Aaron Donald anywhere on the field. We could put him at edge rusher, defensive tackle, nose guard. Like, we could put him anywhere, and he's going to be productive. So he's going to be lined up on Colt McKivitz. Now, I did mention, I think, and then I want to hear what you got to say about this, because I think Colt McKivitz matches up better with Aaron Donald than he did TJ Watt because of the speed, like you mentioned. I think Aaron Donald, the bigger frame, is going to allow him to be able just to, as long as I get my hands on him, I could anchor. Versus I'm thinking speed when it's TJ Watt coming off that edge, and then next thing you know, TJ Watt spinning inside, or he's coming inside, going back outside. Like, versus Aaron Donald, he's going to attack you, use his hands, and he's a phenomenal pass rusher. Don't get me wrong, but I think the matchup, like you said, with the speed, I think it fares better for Colton McKivitz than it did with TJ Watt.
Yeah, so I would say this, like, so first of all, Colton McKivitz, he's not an athlete at all. Like, he just didn't look athletic in the run game. He was getting blown by TJ Watt. So what I'm scared about, Donald is quick. He's super quick, and he can turn that speed into power. So that's what I'm nervous about when he's matched up over Colton McKivitz. Because he can do both. Don't get me wrong, he's not as fast as TJ Watt, which would fare better. But if he gets around McKivitz one or two times, and then the next time he turns that speed into power and gets that arm underneath his shoulder pads, like, it could cause for a long day for McKivitz. So I'm nervous about that. And I didn't know that, they had Aaron Donald lining up all over the place like that, which is smart. He's their best pass rusher. He's their best player. And yeah, they should put him over Colton McKivitz. And now that you said it, I'm nervous about that matchup. But again, Kyle is good at, chipping, giving him some help, misdirection, running away from Aaron Donald. That'd be fine. If they want to put him on the right side, let's run to the left side. Let's have, Christian McCaffrey a toss to the left. Give him some misdirection and keep Aaron Donald on his toes. But I think that the matchup will be just similar, because he has the speed, not like TJ Watt, but he can turn that into power, and that's what I'm nervous about.
It's a different kind of speed. TJ Watt has like the quick off the edge versus Aaron Donald's is a quick twitchy. Like, if you're in a phone booth, you're not gonna get him. Like, that's his kind of twitchiness and speed. But it is an interesting matchup. I mean, I think Aaron Donald's gonna get his at the end of the day. Aaron Donald is Aaron Donald. But the issue is the teams keep attacking that right side of the offensive line. You essentially have to only play with half your O-line most of the games, and you have to scheme around it. Now, can Kyle do that? Absolutely he can. He did it. He's done it in the past. But over a 17-game stretch of a season into the playoffs, you can't hide your O-line. Like, we saw that last year. What happened when you tried hiding your O-line, you try helping out with a tackle, tight end, blocking. You can't hide it at the end of the day. So whether they need to figure out if Colton McKivitz is a guy now versus later, because at the trade deadline, you have so much cap space. Make a big move if you have to. I think that's might be the answer. Going into the defense, what do you expect this defense to do? Now, Matthew Stafford was phenomenal against the Seattle Seahawks. Puka Nacua played phenomenal as a rookie. I'm curious to hear what you got to say about this Rams offense versus our defense.
So I have no worries about the front seven. The front seven played their ass off.
Mhm.
They had literally no room to run. They didn't want to run after Fred Warner made that hit on Najee Harris. It's like Najee disappeared. He didn't really want to play no more. I don't even know how many carries he had. But looking back at the film, there were some open receivers in that game. Kenny Pickett did not hit these dudes. Like Kenny Pickett had a very bad game. So I think we do really have to keen in on our pass defense. Matthew Stafford is not Kenny Pickett. He'll do a decent job of getting everybody involved, hitting the open man. But at the end of the day, I think our defense is really good. And we should shut him down. Again, Matthew Stafford is a good quarterback. He's going to get his. He's missing his one of the best receivers in the NFL. So that's going to go in the Niners' favor. But yeah, like if there's going to be a lot of receivers that are open, like it was this past game, Matthew Stafford will hit the open receiver. But I don't think that the Niners will have a problem with them. I know Nakua had a coming out game, which he played really well. But now the Niners know what to expect, right? So they're going to game plan for him. They're going to know somewhat his tendencies from game one. And I think they'll do a better job of guarding him.
And I think it's an interesting matchup because Puka, he had a really good game. It's cool to see rookies have like those kind of games.
Right.
It's I mean, it is what it is. Even if it's a rival, I like seeing rookies play well. But I think, like you're saying, there's a lot of open receivers.
Mhm.
Stafford ain't missing those. If he has those open guys and he has the time, because there's a few times I'm like, damn, Pickett has time. Like, and he was just airmailing throws, missing them. Like, hey, that shows who Kenny Pickett really is, I guess. As in terms of accuracy. If you allow Stafford, and I think the biggest thing what I noticed was if you allow Stafford to get big chunk plays like he did against Seattle, it's over.
Yeah.
The moment he starts getting his chunk, they had a 44-yard pass from Tutu Atwell. They had like a 30-yarder from Nakua, 20-something from Higbee, and another 20-yarder from someone else. So if you let him get those chunk plays, that's where Stafford likes to live. Like he will attack the seams. He will attack you deep. If you start allowing him to I think the big issue with the 49ers is the opportunity of how many open passes were there was concerning. And I also think even though our front seven got after Kenny Pickett as they did, I went back and I watched Drake Jackson. My biggest concern was how does Drake Jackson look in terms. And I wrote an article on it for all 49ers.
Mhm.
Is that pass rush sustainable? And I don't think it is coming from Drake Jackson because when I was watching him, I noticed quite often that he is attacking the full body. And when you start attacking the full body, offensive tackles don't really you attack. That's where I want you to attack me.
Right.
The moment you start attacking half my body is when it gets a lot harder for an offensive tackle. And a lot of his pressures and sacks came off of those hustle effort kind of plays, where Arik Armstead blows up Mason Cole. Kenny Pickett has to roll out. He ends up getting a sack. Javon Hargrave blows up Mason Cole. Kenny Pickett has to take off up the pocket to take off scrambling. And next thing you know, Jackson's diving at his feet, getting a sack. Like those are like the little plays. I'm like, all right, now that's concerning because if you don't have that production, those 2 extra sacks from Drake Jackson off of hustle effort, we're not singing the same praise as we are right now. So for me, that was a little concerning. And I think the defensive line is going to be great. Javon Hargrave will probably have a sack this game. Arik Armstead will get his sack because he was close to like 2 or 3 last week. And I think Nick Bosa will finally, with those game reps, live practices that he's able to have, I think you'll see a much better Nick Bosa on the defense side. I don't think you'll see him getting pancaked by a Darnell Washington kind of player. So I'm excited to see the defensive line and the linebacking group. It's going to be a big week for Fred Warner because they're going to attack the seams. Exactly what they did with Seattle, and that's where Fred Warner likes to take care of. You mentioned Matthew Stafford. Is this a game where the 49ers get to tee off with the quarterback that isn't as mobile as a Kenny Pickett or as other quarterbacks? He's literally going to stand in the pocket. You know where he is at all times. What are your thoughts on how Stafford could beat this defense?
Um, really hitting the open guy. Hitting the zones. Like I said, Kenny Pickett was missing a lot of open players, and when he was throwing to the open player, he was, like you said, airmailing it and just not accurate whatsoever. So what I think Stafford needs to do, I think they do need to throw the ball. Whether that's you know, 40 times, 30 times, they need to throw the ball. They're not going to run on this front seven whatsoever. With Fred and Dre and those two dudes in the middle who played really, really well. Hargrave and Armstead played really well. So they're not gonna run the ball. So they definitely need to pass the ball. But they do need to protect him. I think that Bosa will have a breakout game. I think Bosa's going to have about 2 or 3 sacks. And I do want to see better pass rush moves from Drake Jackson. I want to see him get a sack. With him doing a pass rush move. It's like all the hustle is great. That's great. I want him to keep that. You need that on the D line because things do break down, and you do need to prevent a quarterback from taking it up the sideline or going up the middle for a first down. But I do want to see him have a pass rushing move. Like I don't know his go-to move. I think he needs to find one. But yeah, if we need to put pressure on Stafford, send a blitz. They're missing a key piece, a receiver. Like I don't think the Niners are scared of any of the Rams receivers. So I think we'll see a lot more blitzes this week. And the key would be putting pressure on Matthew Stafford and don't let him sit back there and pick the defensive backfield apart.
I actually think putting pressure on or blitzing actually would benefit the Los Angeles Rams because with the speed that they had from Tutu Atwell, so that was one of the big plays. Like he could get by any of our corners and our safeties. Like he has that kind of speed. Now that was his best game he's ever had in his 3-year career. 100-yard reception, 6 catches, I believe. Now when you're looking at that, it's like if you blitz, you better blitz and you better be right because if you miss and you allow, and I think Puka was pretty. He showed some speed too. So if you show a blitz and you're coming, you better not know, or you better have Stafford not know where it's coming from. Because if he does and he hits you over the top, that's gonna hurt. Because once you give Stafford that confidence, it's like, all right, I know what you want to do now. But I do think it's gonna be one of those games where the defense gets to tee off on Stafford. He stay in the pocket. They don't, like you're saying, like they don't have the receivers that really threaten us outside of the speed element. I think you just play more of a cover 2. You go back to cover 2. You know what? Take away the deep passes. Don't allow them to take anything over the top, and just keep everything in front. And you make this Los Angeles Rams team that average like 2.5 yards a carry against the Seattle Seahawks, who can't stop the run.
Right.
You let them try to march down the field, dinking and dunking, running the ball. And I think that for them, that's going to be much harder than if you send a blitz where I could get a 10-yard play. Cool, 15-yard play. So I think it'll be a very interesting opportunity for Steve Wilkes to just come out and don't really blitz. I did like the pressure that Javon Kinlaw provided. That I was like, whoa, you just whooped on Isaac Sumalu. That was impressive. He whooped on him once so bad when he was like, screen. Sorry, look, I'm like, bro, screen ain't coming. He can't get a sack, bro. I thought that was interesting. So I'm very excited to see because it's a different offense. Like the Pittsburgh Steelers offense, Matt Canada's terrible. He's a terrible offensive coordinator. Like you should not be having George Pickens running a go route on 90% of those routes. Like why not having him run crossers? Why isn't Darnell Washington using the passing game? Why are you running him on crossing routes? Like to me, I'm like, this offense is just terrible. And it's not even Kenny Pickett, it's more the offense. So you're going to get Sean McVay using a lot of eye candy, motions in the backfield, Tutu Atwell, getting him free open up so you don't know where he is. Like that's the guy you got to keep your eyes on because he's explosive. I'm very excited to see the 49ers defense go up against a Sean McVay coached offense. It's a much better offense than the Steelers, even though their weapons aren't as good. The head coach is a very good play caller.
Yeah.
I expect him to actually stick to the run like he did last week. They ran the ball 40 times and they averaged like 3 yards a carry. Like I was explaining the other day, for me, I think what that does is it shortens a game against a very good team like the 49ers. And what you have to do is shorten that game against great teams. When you know you're outmatched you got to just out coach. Hey, let's shorten this game. Let's run the ball, even if it's 2-3 yards a pop. They were very efficient on third down. They were like 11 for 17, which is 65%. I'm living at 65% on third down rate
for sure
because you're gonna be successful. So if they could do that, run the ball, even if it's 2 to 3 yards to carry, you're killing clock each drive. Don't snap the ball until it's under 5 seconds. Kind of mentality telling the quarterback, hey, be smart.
Yeah.
Don't keep our defense on the field this entire game. We're gonna get killed. 5 seconds under the clock. Okay, now we can snap the ball.
Right.
Pay attention to what they're coming after you with, and I think that's going to be their game plan. Run the ball 30 times, even if the Niners are up 7.
Keep running it.
You keep running it. Like that's to me, and like what I try doing is when I'm thinking, what is someone going to do to me? Is what would I do if I was coaching this 49ers team?
Yeah.
What would I do against this? And I'm making this game short. You better score every possession because I'm trying to keep you down to 1 possession a quarter. That's my goal. If I can have a 7-minute drive, even if I don't get points on that drive, to me, that is a success because this team is just hella good. You got to keep the ball out of this offense's hands. And I think if you keep the Niners defense on the field for long, and then you end up going a quick offense like the Pittsburgh Steelers did, man, you could get a touchdown quick. So
yeah, you may be right. I mean, I know McVay doesn't think that this team can match up with this Niners team. So why not shorten the game and stick to the run? But at what point, say the Niners go up 17-0, at what point do you abandon the run, right? Because I really think yes, they may stick to the run, but I don't think the Niners is giving any 3 yards a game or 3 yards a carry. I don't see it. Maybe, but I just love what I saw from them last game.
I mean, I felt like the Steelers, they did, going back to week 1, I felt like the Steelers did a terrible job running the ball. And I don't even think it was because they couldn't run the ball. I thought it was just because they didn't try to run the ball. They had 10 carries all game. They had Kenny Pickett throw the ball 40+. The moment they went down, I felt like Matt Canada was like, oh, my God, this is a shootout. That's like, hey, Kenny, throw the ball, Kenny. Throw the ball, bro. Like, bro, allow him to freaking run the damn ball. Make him successful, dude. Like, you put him in a terrible situation against this kind of defense. Going to the offense side of the ball, I want you to talk to me about the receivers because, oh, my God, Brandon Ayuk he's special. Talk to me about him, man.
Yeah,
that's
so
special.
Brandon Ayuk is special, man. Like, he is the typical number 1 receiver. He has the size, he has the route running, he has the hands, he has the run after catch ability. He has it all. And then, but my favorite thing about Brandon Ayuk in that game was how he was blocking. You're not seeing all these star receivers blocking linebackers, outside defensive ends, safeties, corners. You're not seeing that often. And for him to go ahead and do that, that just shows you what type of player he is, and then what type of time he's on this year. Like he came into this year like, I'm really finna show the NFL who I am. I want to get my bag. Hopefully it's with the Niners, but I'm gonna get paid this year. And so Brandon Ayuk, he had a phenomenal start to the year. They couldn't guard him. After that one catch in the end zone, Debo went over there and said they can't mess with you. They came and they couldn't. He couldn't. He was putting Pat P on skates. Pat P is still a decent corner. Like, that's just not no scrub. So I was excited to see what BA did, and I expect for Debo to have a Debo type of game this week. He had a few carries and then a few over routes, but I expect for him to break one. I feel like he likes playing the Rams, right? So I feel like he's gonna break one. And then Kittle, I think we need to get Kittle more so involved as well, right? We have so many weapons. Shanahan has to figure a way to keep everybody happy, right? But BA is that guy, and he's the number 1 target on the Niners offense. Besides McCaffrey, obviously. I'm talking receivers.
And I think that's how it should. I think this offense should go through McCaffrey and Brandon Ayuk. If you want an explosive offense scoring 30+ a game, it's through McCaffrey and it's through Brandon Ayuk. And I feel like with Debo when it comes to Debo playing with the Rams, I think it's all because of Aaron Donald. The moment Aaron Donald said, Debo who?
Yeah,
Like, Debo took it personal. Going to the Deion Sanders is personal.
it's
Like,
personal.
it's personal. Like, it's no other way to put it. Like, once you make something personal, like, all right, well, I'm going to just, that's every game I have something to prove to you now. Like, you know who I am, dog. Like, don't mess with me. And I think, like, you're right. I think this is going to be a Debo game. I think Debo is going to have a lot of touches. Debo's going to break for a touchdown. And I think you're still going to see the explosive route running by Brandon Ayuk. I think Brandon Ayuk, right now, he put himself in the top. He's in the top 10 receivers right now by far, like easily. You that route running he put, the blocking down the field. For example, if you people that were watching the Monday Night Football game for the Jets or Thursday night game or whatever game when they played, was it? Yeah, Garrett Wilson, he could have blocked and given Breece Hall a touchdown.
Right.
Instead, he puts his hand up in the air like, we scored. Bro, you didn't score. Your guy got caught from behind because he's still recovering from an ACL injury. If you block, he scores. And that's what Brandon Ayuk did. Put a dude on his ass. Like, there's no other way to put it. Put him on his ass. Like, as a DB, you're probably like, damn.
And that's the difference between, you know, a running back taking it 40 yards or a running back taking it 80 yards for a touchdown. You know, it's the receivers downfield blocking, continuing to run with the running back. You know, like you said, Breece Hall, he could have scored. He's coming off an ACL injury. If the receiver would have blocked with him downfield, you know, that's a touchdown. But and that's what I really admired about Brandon Ayuk. It wasn't just the McCaffrey run. It was multiple plays where he was, you know, where he was blocking it, and it didn't matter what position it was. So yeah, and like you said, like Brandon Ayuk is not even getting all the targets that these top receivers get. You know, what did he have? What, 7 or 8? How many did he have last game?
I want to say he had at least 8 catches. So maybe I think he caught every pass that was thrown his way. He had a perfect quarterback rating thrown to him. So 8 receptions, 8 targets for 120 something.
Come on, and you got receivers getting 11 and 15 targets a game, right? So yes, I agree. He's in that top 10 category, and I think he's gonna build on it, man. He's a baller. He's a baller.
He's on demon time right now. That's for sure. He's out to prove something. He's out to prove those Dallas Cowboys fans that keep saying CeeDee Lamb's better when CeeDee Lamb's a glorified slot receiver. But hey, that's something else for us to talk about when Dallas week comes. What do you think about this? The Rams secondary covering Debo, Kittle. Like, this is probably one of the worst secondaries we're going to see all season. You on that side, you got Darian Kendrick, you got Kobe Durant, Mikaela Weatherspoon, who might not play in the back end. I believe John Johnson, Jordan Fuller, and Russ Yeast. Like, it's a bunch of guys who are trying to make a name for themselves, a younger group. But it's probably the worst secondary we'll see all season. What do you think about, like, how should Kyle attack this defense? Should he come out firing the ball with Brock Purdy? Should he run the ball more this game? What should he do to attack this kind of defense?
I mean, if we didn't have Christian McCaffrey, I would definitely say let's air it out and let's attack these corners. But seeing that we have Christian McCaffrey, arguably the best running back in the league, you have to still go through him. You still have to go through McCaffrey. You got to let him touch the ball, get him carries, and then those DBs, like you said, those are young DBs trying to make a name for themselves. You have the only name that I really know is John Johnson back there. He's a pretty good safety, but he's not covering Kittle. You know, he can't cover Kittle. You know, they can't cover Brandon Ayuk. So yes, let's find a way to attack these corners after, you know, giving the ball to McCaffrey. You know, run left, run right, play action, boot. We didn't see too many boot passes from Purdy this last week, so I'm probably expecting that a little more. But yeah, we're definitely gonna attack these young DBs, and I expect a day from Ayuk.
Yeah, for me, the way I would actually attack, because I'm actually thinking not necessarily just this game, but we have a week 3 is Thursday night football.
Oh yeah,
we turn around really quick. So the way I'm looking at this game is like, all right, I got to back of my mind. I'm like, hey, we're playing Thursday night. Kyle, use your backup running backs. You don't have to just use Christian McCaffrey all 4 quarters. He did that last week, and I'm like, I'm cool with you when it's a close game and you need Christian McCaffrey getting the touches. Attack with Christian McCaffrey in the first quarter, get a lead, bring Mitchell and Mason in, let them take care of the rest of the work. I think this should be a game where, and I think realistically, and it's not even a knock on Brock Purdy, so I don't want people to say it is. Keep the ball out of Brock's hands this week.
Mm-hmm.
We have not seen Brock play a Sunday game and then back on Thursday right away,
Mm-hmm.
and that it's a short turnaround. At the end of camp, Kyle was still saying he had just finished where he could finally throw 3 days in a row. Like that, Kyle had just said that at the end of camp. So it's like realistically, I know he's 100% healthy, but do right by your quarterback. Take care of him.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to put him in a situation where next thing you know he has arm soreness after that Thursday night game, even though it's a long week, long break. There's no reason to put him in a situation where you have him throwing 30 passes this game when you don't need him to.
Mm-hmm.
And then next game against the Giants, you're having him throw 30 plus passes that game. Like
Right.
there's no reason he's throwing 60 passes in a live game action in 4 days when you don't need him to. So I think this should be a game where you give the ball to Debo a lot on quick bubbles. To me, those are extended run plays. So I'm cool with letting him throw those kind of like bubble screens, Debo on end arounds, feeding your running backs kind of game. I think to me, that's at least what I would do if I'm Kyle, because I want to take care of my quarterback.
Yeah.
So that's how I would approach this game. What are your thoughts on approaching a game in that sense?
So I think first and foremost you have to play to win.
Absolutely.
And you have to whatever your plan would be on a Sunday without a Thursday game, and I think you have to stick with that. Because I think you can get caught slipping if you try to look forward toward that Thursday night game. And hey, it's the NFL, right? So anything's possible. You can win any given Sunday. So I think they have to come out. They have to get the score to where they feel comfortable, and then tone it back. Like, okay, let's give Mason and Elijah Mitchell the ball. Let's not throw the ball too much with Purdy. 17-0 type of game. Let's get to the next quarter. Things like that. But they do initially have to go in thinking like we're not holding anything back. This is NFL. Everybody plays Sunday and then Thursday. So I think they just have to approach it how they would any regular Sunday game. And then once that time comes, hopefully they're up 24/7 at halftime or something like that. That way they can, get the clock moving and get their guys out healthy and fresh, ready to go on Thursday.
I mean, because I know Kyle normally his goal, his target number for any game is around 35 to 40 runs, plays per game. Like to him, that's the ultimate goal, is 35 to 40 runs. Last week he got 34, 20 of 2 of those were to Christian McCaffrey, 29 passes. So you take six of those passes away and get to 40, you're around like the 23 mark, and I think that's where you're living, like 23. You could still be very effective with this offense. With if we look at what Brock Purdy was able to do in the first half, 11 for 12 against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Like if he could do something like that, 15 passes and stuff like that in the first half, allows him to keep the defense honest in the second half where he doesn't have to throw it, but they're still attempting those play action boot plays. I think you're right. You got to play to win. Like I'm not saying to not do that. Like I just want them to make sure you keep in mind, like, hey, you might, if you do that, you might not have Brock next week. Like we don't know how the arm's gonna respond on a Thursday morning when he's getting ready to amp up. So
and we need Brock. We need Brock, man. We don't trust that the backup too much. So we need Brock out there. For sure.
So going straight to Brock Purdy. Brock played phenomenal. That was probably the best performance I've ever seen Brock Purdy play in the first half. We gave him grades earlier. I know you gave him an A grade in the first half of last week. I would probably give him the same grade, but in total, we both give him around a B+. Is Brock Purdy officially a top 10 quarterback heading into week 2? Sorry,
top 10. So that's.
And before you answer, I want everyone to understand. Top 10 is some of the best quarterbacks in the game. So if we do not say no, it is not a knock on Brock, because Brock, we're both saying Brock is playing great ball. It's more so saying, hey, the entire NFL has really good quarterbacks. He's working his way there. So I want everyone to be clear. So if you do say no, I don't want them clipping this, taking it to Twitter, trying to blow you up on that.
Right. So I would definitely say I can't give him a top 10 with what is it, 7 games now, 8 games. I can't give him top 10 without a full season of work. Now, did he play like a top 10 quarterback? Yes, last Sunday? Yes, I think so. and it's perfect for him. He knows exactly where to go with the ball. His escapability is underrated. He had a run. He escaped out the pocket and broke somebody down, made him fall, and got the first down. And then got up kind of swaggy and did the first down sign. I love that about Brock, right? But I can't say that he's a top 10 quarterback just yet. If you count off 10 quarterbacks of the top ones, you'll understand why. Um, but yeah, not right now. I would definitely say he's pushing the top 15 right now. Just the short sample, but I can't say top 10 yet. And that, again, that's not a knock on Brock. Like I said, if we're going off last week, he's a top 10 quarterback. He might be the best quarterback in the league. But we're not going off of that one game. So let's go through the whole season. But he's definitely pushing a top 15. Yeah, that the 18-yard gain. Yeah, and he did I
That was
love that.
swaggy.
That was swaggy, man. I love
Yeah,
that.
it was. I give him that one. I was like, oh damn. Like,
Yeah, I
and
love that.
I would agree with you. I think if he continues to have games like he did week 1, I think he could get there really fast with this kind of receiving group. Now I'm like, so the way I want people to understand the way I rate quarterbacks or put quarterbacks top 1 through 10, 1 through 15, and stuff like that. The way I rank them, I do a year-to-year basis. Like, for example, Josh Allen, hey, if he keeps throwing those interceptions, guess what? He's not in the top 10 this year. Like, it's just that simple. Like, it's for me, it's more of a year-to-year basis, especially when you have weapons. For example, 1 year, Jimmy Garoppolo was pushing into the 12th ranked quarterback. Like, 2019, he looked like a top 12, top 15 quarterback. The years after, he didn't look like that.
Yeah.
Like, but so like for me, when you rank quarterbacks, I think it's more so at least for me, I do a year-to-year basis because 1 year you could have a Julio Jones on your team, and guess what? Julio Jones is going to make you better.
Yeah.
The following year, Julio Jones is on the team. You're not going to be as good as you were the year before. For example, Ryan Tannehill, when he had that offense he had with Derrick Henry, they had a few receivers and stuff. He looked like a actual viable quarterback who could play in the NFL. He loses a lot of his weapons. Guess what? Doesn't look like that. So for me, it's a year-to-year thing. I think Brock Purdy is on his way there. I think he's pushing. I don't agree with a lot of these. I think the 33rd team or whatever, they do like a ranking where they give like a grade per like pocket awareness and stuff like that. And right now they have him like 29th ranked. I'm like, whoa, even myself who isn't sold on Brock Purdy would never put him in that range. Like he's playing in 29th range is like around Baker Mayfield. Like let's not disrespect.
And he's better than Baker Mayfield.
Like let's not disrespect him. Like
yeah,
the 33rd team, I saw him do that and I was like, wait, what? Like I get having concerns about him. Like being concerned in terms of like pocket awareness and not feeling some pressures and stuff like that. Some accuracy is kind of shaky. But the thing is if a pass is completed, you can't say he's inaccurate. The pass was completed. So for me, I think he's on his way there. I don't know how long it's going to take him to get there, but he's coming. Yeah. Pause. But he's on his way.
He's on his way.
He's on his way to top 10. And what does he have to do to be ranked in the top 10 for you, at least for you? Because everyone has a different ranking system, how they rank. For you, what does he have to do to become a top 10 quarterback?
So look, for me, my top 10 quarterbacks have to fit a certain criteria, which I'm about to which I said on Wednesday night on one of the shows that I'm changing it for Brock, right? Because he doesn't fit that criteria, but his performance does, right? So I want a quarterback who has a strong arm, who can make every throw on the field, who can if need to be run and pick up that first down. And Brock does some of those things, right? He does some of those things, but he does it differently. He does it up here, as well as make those throws, right? But my thing is I can't knock Brock for that no more, because when he's on the field, he shows and he proves to play like a top 10 quarterback up to this point, right? So I my criteria is thrown out the window, especially for Brock. just because of the he's smart. He makes the right plays. He's in an offense that fits him, right? So I'm not going to knock him for that at all. So top 10 quarterback, he has the ability to be that, and I'm throwing my old criteria out of the window.
That's crazy. He said, you know what? I got to make a new bracket.
Yeah.
No, but you're right. Like when I'm watching Brock, like the arm strength's not there, but what's there is the anticipation. He's throwing before receivers out of their breaks. He's like, you know what? And it's kind of like me when I hoop. I'm gonna give you an analogy. So when I hoop, I'm not the most athletic dude on the court. I'm not the tallest, but I'm the damn smartest.
Yeah.
Like best believe, like I know how to play ball in terms of IQ. So I'm like, I'm gonna beat you here because I'm a short Mexican. Like, let's be real. Like I'm not 6'3". I don't got the athletic genes and stuff like that. I mean, I'm athletic, but I'm not that super athlete that everyone on the court is. So you got it, and that's with him right now. He's the smartest dude on the field right now, and that's his kind of thing where he's like, you know what, I'm just gonna outsmart everyone. I don't care how good you are. I don't, Pat. You know what, Pat P? You disrespect me. It's personal.
Yeah, it's personal.
So even after what my favorite thing about Brock was after the game at the podium, he goes, "Hey, was my second touchdown to Brandon Ayuk when I threw the back shoulder? Was that on Patrick Peterson too? Like he knew, like, take your shots at me. Guess what? I'm gonna get the last laugh." And I think he plays with a chip on his shoulder, and I hope that never goes away because right now that's what's making him great. Yeah. That underdog mentality where he's kind of like, you know what? I'm that dude. You're going to see why I'm that dude. I'm throwing with anticipation. Does not matter how strong my arm is. He's even said it on someone's podcast where he was like, you know what? I don't care if I'm not the tallest, the strongest, the fastest, the strongest arm quarterback in the league. I'm going to find a way to win. And that's what he's doing right now. And it's, to me, what makes it concerning is we saw Jimmy do that.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm holding out. Like, I'm not going to put the stamp of approval, at least from my end, because I was sold on Jimmy.
Yeah.
I was like, we got ourselves a quarter. I went out. I had a bet with someone that we went, like, for game-wise, like, our team would win more games than them. We were, like, 1-something.
Yeah.
1-10, and I'll get ready to order his jersey. Jimmy comes in, wins 5 games in a row, and I win a jersey because he's a Raiders fan. I win a jersey. And I was like, let's go.
Like, I would say, so Brock has a little something else to him than Jimmy. Like, this is a different quarterback, right? Again, I was sold on just I don't know, it was because of our previous quarterbacks, and we went through a Brian Hoyer, we went through Nick Mullins, CJ Beathard, and I was just ready for a quarterback, and he did come in and slinging the ball around and getting us wins, and he was a big part of those, right? But Brock is different, man. He's a different beast. Like, he has something to him. He has moxie and just like stuff that doesn't show up when he actually throws the ball. Like his confidence, he's just so confident with himself, and again, his timing of his throws, that you don't need strength, you don't need arm power to throw those type of throws. And when he's on time like that, hey, the arm power is thrown out. You don't need it.
Absolutely. And it reminds me of, I don't know if you there's a 30 for 30 on Walter Payton, and like one of the questions was he was super soft spoken. Walter Payton was a super soft spoken man, and it kind of reminds me of Brock, but Brock isn't soft spoken. Like, when I mean soft spoken, like Walter Payton had like a soft voice, but he went on and he was like very humble guy, very chill off the field. That's how Brock is off the field. Very religious, very humble. Like, he understands who he is. On the field, Walter Payton turned himself. He said, I don't know who I was on the field. I'm talking my talk, playing how I play, running people over. That's Brock. On the field, he's not Brock Purdy, the super nice, calm person. He's Brock. F you, I'm Brock. Like, that's who he is. Like, I'm here to show something today. And to me, that is what's different between him and Jimmy. Jimmy stayed the same, like, on the field. Like, Jimmy was who he is off the field. Like, and I think that was the issue. Like, you got, as an athlete, you got to have a fuck you mentality.
Yeah.
And if you're a kid, I'm sorry, but you got to have that fuck you mentality where you're like, I don't care. I'm better than you. I know I'm better than you. And I think that was the issue with Jimmy for me.
Yeah,
Was like
and
his first
Jimmy.
year when he was with us. My bad, my bad. The
No, go
first year
ahead.
he was with us, that 5 game stretch, he had that FU mentality.
Yeah,
He had just got traded. I'm gonna prove to you, Bill Belichick, that I'm better than who you traded me for. And
right,
he had that mentality. And then after he kind of settled down, like, I got paid. I'm
right.
that dude. What's up? Hey, where's all the porn stars at? Like, that's what happened to me. Like, and that's why I kind of was like, come on, Jimmy.
Yeah, man. And Jimmy, the thing that got me with Jimmy, like he'll make this crazy throw where it's like it's beautiful, it's in stride. The receiver is able to catch it over the middle and continue to run. And you're like, damn, that's a great throw, Jimmy. And then he'll come back and throw something right to the defense where you're like, or throw like a ball in the air, a deep ball in the air to 3 different defenders, and you're like, what is he doing? And so that's when I got off the Jimmy train. I'm like, okay, we don't need this dude, man. He's back, but he makes too many rookie mistakes. So I was like, yeah, that's when I was just off of the Jimmy train. So
Yeah, even Jimmy week 1 with the Raiders, interception in the end zone. Like, you don't got to do that. Throw the
you
ball
don't
away.
have to do that.
Live to see another play down, bro. Like, but great question here about how about the Niners or comment, something like that. So gotta say, Brock went deep into the playoffs as a rook. The moment wasn't too big. Don't think he'll be a playoff choke artist like Jimmy, Dak, or Cousins. He's a tier up, in my opinion. I disagree, and this isn't a knock on Brock, because those playoff games I saw, Seattle, it wasn't the same Brock. Dallas, it wasn't the same Brock. Like, it wasn't the Brock we've seen in the regular season, and we saw that last week. It wasn't the same Brock.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna hold off on saying stuff like that because I don't want to jinx anything or anything like that. But it wasn't the same Brock. I know for sure it was. I watched those games a lot because they're a little bit better defenses than the teams he played.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't the same. I don't know if you watched those games,
Mm-hmm.
Harp on all 22, but I watched those games and it wasn't pretty.
Yeah. So I didn't watch them on all 22, but I was there, and yeah, it was up and downs, which you expect from a rookie quarterback. So I'm not gonna knock him because he's not perfect, and there's no quarterback that's perfect, right? So I'm not gonna knock him, but this time around, I do want to see a better version of playoff Brock.
Yeah, and again, he's a rookie, so that could be it too. You're disguising different looks, something he hasn't seen before. So hopefully that's processed in the back of his head. I wanted to come back to this comment. I don't know if you've seen after the post game where Brock breaks it down, and then Kyle makes it a point to find Brock as he's walking away and go and gave him. It was this funny, like, awkward hug kind of thing, like. He did this, like, tapped him on the shoulder, turned him around, and was like, he wanted to give him a bro hug, but he gave him like when you're like it was like a middle school, like, crush hand, like, give me a side hug, like, kind of like, bro, what do you?
I didn't see that,
bro. This shit's hella fun. It's funny because, like, you could tell Kyle's so damn awkward doing this. Like, this Kyle is growing, like. He didn't do this to Jimmy. He didn't really, like, treat Jimmy great. I guess didn't treat Trey that way. But he went out of his way to give Brock Purdy some love and try to give him a hug. And there's a video that Jesse Naylor posted, and it's funny because he gives him this awkward, like, tries to dap him up, but, like, doesn't know how to say, "Hey, great game." Like, it was weird. It's funny, but I actually, so 49ers throwback, I actually like it because Kyle's putting confidence in his young quarterback, and that's what he needed to do to every quarterback he's had. Instead, he breaks them down in the sense of he tells them, you know what, that was a terrible game. Or they would ask him on stuff, and he would, like, just air it out. I'm like, you don't do that, bro. You keep it in the locker room. That's between you guys. Curious, you gotta watch that video. I'll send it to you when I find it right now. It's pretty funny. Like, it's like that awkward middle school, like, how do I say hi to someone? How do I get someone? Like, it was funny. Like, it's hilarious.
Just off hearing it though, like, he's never treated any of his quarterbacks like that. So for him, I feel like it's a confidence booster for Brock, but at the same time, it's like, man, you keep doing this, they'll forget about this first round draft pick that that we spoil, so it's kind of like
Kyle's like, "Hey, keep saving my ass, bro. You right
yeah,
now.
keep
I don't look
saving me.
stupid right now. It's like drafted you in the 7th round, even though it was Brian Greasy. But hey, he looks
No,
like a
yeah.
genius. And it's funny because I actually mentioned that on a podcast. I think it was with Rohan and someone else, I believe. But we're talking. I'm like, honestly, it doesn't matter which way Kyle goes. If Kyle goes and he fixes Trey Lance at the time, he
Mhm.
would have looked like a genius.
Yeah.
He fixed the bust.
Mhm.
If he goes and he continues with Purdy and he
He's a
wins
genius.
with him, he's a genius. He
Mhm.
won with the Mr. Irrelevant. Like
And he
either
made
way,
the right choice, right?
either way, he's a genius. Either way, like Kyle was gonna use that to make himself look like a genius, and he is. Throwback. I'm not as nervous with Brock compared to Jimmy, but I will say I did have a tendency, and I do have a tendency to. You can kind of know when an interception's coming, or you know when a bad throw's coming with Jimmy, and I've started noticing that with Brock too. I did that last year's rookie year. I right away when that Patrick Peterson's coming, the interception's coming. And I would more so say that because pre-snap, I think Brock has kind of given hints away where he's kind of staring his guy down who he's throwing to, and he's staring that way the entire time. And then right before he snaps, he's looking the other way the entire time. So like, kind of like, hey, you're not manipulating. You're kind of I get what you're doing. You're smart because he's using his eye movement. Like, all right, I'm checking to see what's over there. And most quarterbacks, what they do is they keep their head straight and they're looking out of their eyes. Like if you pay attention, like to Dak will scan the field, but like he's scanning fast. And I noticed with Brock, he goes and he's staring one way for a little while. Cool, process what's going on there. So for him, it's kind of telling. And when he was looking at Kittle when that almost interception came, he's staring at Kittle the whole way, like, okay, who's like, didn't really look any other way to scan anything. So I noticed that. But with Jimmy, I knew when interceptions were coming.
He just knew.
Like everyone, and I think everyone knew. Like it wasn't even like just me. Like you knew Jimmy's like, all right, hey, that was a freaking dime. Interceptions coming next. Like that's how Jimmy was. So I'm not nervous when Brock's playing. But also I wouldn't be nervous if Sam Darnold was playing either. I really wouldn't because we got the best running back in the league. I think we have a top 5 receiver in the league. We have a top 5 tight end in the league. Like we have another top. You could put. I think Debo could be placed in the top 15 as receivers in terms of playmakers. Top 15. So it's like when you have that talent, I'm not nervous at all. Yeah. And I think with Jimmy, he had the talent. He just didn't know how to utilize the talent. So not nervous at all. Any concerns, comments from week 1 that concerns you heading into week 2? Outside of McKivitz, obviously, because we talked about that earlier.
Yeah, no concerns outside of him. The first half was so good, and then the McCaffrey run that was great. But outside of that, it was kind of slower in the second half, which you expect with the game being like that. But I would like to see them build on that first half that they had and have another great first half. Against the Rams, put them out early, which is it's the NFL, so I'm not expecting them to like a college game to just blow out everybody they play. But let's try to go up 14 at half with the Rams and build on that in the second half.
Yeah, and I think that's something that we all should understand too. Like you're gonna have teams that they just not necessarily they don't match up well with the 49ers. But they figure out a way to compete with the 49ers. Yeah. And I think the Rams usually compete. Like, I'm not expecting us to go out there and slap them around in the face and punk them. Like, you're not going to punk. Sean McVay is going to figure something out where he could make his offense at least decent enough to try to compete. But I think this is a game we should put away. And I said this on the last show yesterday. I think this is a must-win game.
Yeah.
Now, yesterday someone started laughing like must-win game week. It's week 2. If you want the number 1 seed, you want you want the NFC to come through San Francisco, you got to beat the teams that aren't as good as you. And that's why I consider it as a must-win game. It's like the Rams, the Arizona Cardinals, we should sweep them. There's no way they should beat us at all. Like those teams are not good. So you should sweep those 2 teams. So if you lose, you fall to the Rams, we got problems because now that number 1 seed is kind of out the door.
Yeah,
like that means you got to beat out against the Ravens, Browns, the Bengals, like some really good teams. The Cowboys, Eagles, like you got to beat out against some really tough teams to get that 1 seed because you got to make sure you beat the Eagles. Like that's a hard task to do. So don't make it harder on yourself. Beat the teams you got to beat. But I think it's going to be a 14-point game. I think 28-14. I think 49ers are going to handle business. I think Nick Bosa has a sack and a half, 2 sacks. I think he's going to have a good game. I think we'll make them tap out by third quarter.
Yep. And yep.
Score prediction? You got a score prediction?
Yep. So I'm going 24-10. I'm going 24-10. I think they're gonna jump out early. It's gonna be loud in there for the Niners. And they're gonna wear them out and be able to not necessarily rest their players, but be careful with them and kind of get them ready for Thursday night. But I don't want them to just overlook the Rams. It's the NFL. But 24-10. Bosa will have a big game. I think Debo is going to have a good game. I think they'll get more of the running backs involved, and I think they're gonna hit Matt Stafford a lot.
Yeah, I think they'll get after Stafford a lot, especially because he's more of a pocket guy. He's older now. He's not going to move like he did in Detroit. Detroit he has some mobility, but I think it's going to be like it's interesting. We both think it's going to be a 14-point game. Only difference is I think it'll be 2 touchdowns for the Rams, and I think we end up getting 28 on them. Again, make sure you guys are subscribed to Josh Harp TV. I believe it's J Harp TV, right?
Josh Harper TV.
Josh Harper TV. Yep. Make sure you guys subscribe to Josh Harper TV. Water bottles and shot glasses are coming soon.
Still on the way. Yeah, still on the way.
They're coming soon.
Before the season is up, they're on the way though. So
they're on their way.
Yeah, before the season is up.
And is it every team for shot glasses? Is it every explain what they really are?
So they'll have different not Niner terms, but different football terms on there. So it's gonna be nice. I'm definitely gonna show you. So
I'll definitely be ordering some. I'll definitely be ordering some Niner ones. I'll order some Dolphins ones. My father-in-law's a Dolphins fan, and
for sure.
I'll definitely get some of those.
Appreciate you.
You got some water bottles coming, right? Some like high school and some kids water bottles.
Yes, I have kids. I have a sample upstairs. So next time that we're on, I'll show you the sample. Well, if they're not done by then, but next time, next Saturday, next Friday, I'll have the sample with me and show you the sample. So nice water bottle for kids.
Nice. Well, that's it for today's show. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Catch us hopefully next Saturday. We'll be doing a preview of week. Actually, we can do a recap next week. But we'll let you guys know when we're going live. Make sure you guys subscribe to Josh Harper TV. Make sure you subscribe to Clutch Gene Sports. I appreciate you. How about them Niners? Appreciate you. Most people don't care for other people's opinions, so I appreciate you for that. Really do. Thank you all for tuning in. See you guys next time.